who have produced what you can see, the premier automobile show, as I said, of the North American continent. Special thanks to the three men on the board, Don David Fletcher, Ken Mead, co-chair of the North American International Automobile Show, and Bob Thibodeau, president of Ford Aerostar. Which we have just seen. Special thanks to Susan Bendix. Special thanks also to the councils of the 17 countries who are represented at the grand opening this evening. We also should give thanks to Michigan for the assistance they've rendered in bringing this show to a reality. This show is truly international, with press representatives from Japan, Greece, Germany, Finland, Sweden, Italy, the United Kingdom, Canada, and of course the United States. All this helps to highlight the fact that we have both a world-class automobile show and a world-class convention center in which to house that world-class show. We expected our goal was 500 correspondents, reporters from this country and around the world. As of this moment, we're over 1,000 and still counting. This is indeed a tremendous automobile. I'm going to add this from now on. Well, the most important thing is, I know that you're anxious for me to cut the ribbon and cut the gulf so you can get inside and see the show. I'm going to accommodate you. I'm sorry. You, Roselle, who has a beautiful bouquet here, is the director of Cobo Hall. As much as any one person is responsible for all you do. I'm told I need to say some more. They're not ready. But we could go on thanking people all night long. We could go on congratulating ourselves here in Detroit and all our guests for putting on a first-class auto show. I think what we see here tonight is a clear demonstration that Detroit is back. The American automobile industry is back. And we lay claim here and now to a continued capital of the automobile industry of the world. I stand here tonight with if you can drive 20 minutes and go to the international headquarters of 3 major automobile companies. Nowhere else in the world can that statement be made. This show is in the right place. Let's cut the ribbon. We're going to open it over, and I hereby invite everyone to view the show. Let's go.
That's a film, they don't need it.
fuel-injected V6. It generates 360 horsepower. It also has a 6-speed manual gearbox and rides on independent front and rear suspensions with gas-filled shocks. Now I know that was a mouthful, so let me translate it for the rest of us. This truck has the engine of a competition racing Trans Am and the suspension guts of a Corvette. You see, while these may not be specific features in the trucks you drive today, they may be parts of the trucks of tomorrow. More fun, more practical. talk about a few of them that are standard,
Power
Jack.
steering and power brakes.
Tinted windows, as you can see, and carpeting every inch of the floor.
Wiggle your toes and all that carpeting. We also have dual remote control side rearview mirrors.
Child safety, right here.
A 4-speaker AM/FM stereo radio with an auto reverse cassette player.
Everybody all set? Thank you very much. What we're doing here today is we brought some people in for an announcement to follow up on an announcement that initially occurred back in November the 3rd last year, when it was announced that this year CART, Championship Auto Racing Teams, would be producing our Grand Prix the weekend June 16th through the 18th with Indy cars rather than the Formula Ones. Today we have another announcement, and we have some people with us. Someone will be speaking to you later. We have Bob McCabe, of course, President of Detroit Renaissance, and Charles Fisher, Chairman of the Detroit Renaissance. We have Carl Frey, Valvoline Oil Company, John Caponegro of CART, Jim Chapman, PPG, and Al Unser Jr., and that's a famous racing name I'm sure all of us recognize. We're here to announce today the signing of an agreement with Valvoline Oil to be the title sponsor of this year's Detroit Grand Prix. Valvoline is a nationally known American company which has been involved in racing since the early 1900s. And this will be the 8th Detroit Grand Prix race. The first 7 were Formula One races, but as everyone knows, this year the race is switching to Indy cars, which are much better known, obviously, in this country. By signing as chief sponsor, Valvoline is showing its confidence in the Grand Prix and in the city of Detroit, and we look forward to their continued involvement. And at this time, I'd like to present to you President of Detroit Renaissance, Bob McCabe, who will carry the program from this point.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you all for coming to this press conference. It's just a little less than 3 months, Al, when you'll be out there on the streets of Detroit for the Detroit Grand Prix number 8. And obviously, we think this is going to be an extremely exciting event. At this time, I would like to introduce Charles T. Fisher III, not only the chairman of Detroit Renaissance and my boss, but also the chairman of the board of the National Bank of Detroit.
Thank you, Robert. And good morning and welcome. It is my pleasure to be here today to talk about one of the most exciting annual events to happen in our great city of Detroit, namely the Detroit Grand Prix. As you well know, the Grand Prix provides us the opportunity to showcase Detroit's finest qualities. Each June since 1982, the city is at its most vibrant as thousands of visitors enjoy the thrill and excitement of auto racing on the streets of our Motor City. Enthusiasts across the nation and around the world experience the spirit of Detroit as they view the Detroit Grand Prix via live television worldwide. And along the way, the race infuses nearly $23 million into our local economy as hotels and restaurants fill to capacity. It promotes the area as a vacation destination as well as a site for conventions and for meetings. This year, the Grand Prix takes on a new flavor with the CART PPG IndyCar World Series. We're delighted to bring America's top racing series to Detroit. The race itself is a natural marketing tool for corporations looking to promote their products, services, or image. A few weeks ago, we announced as official sponsors AC Delco, Allied Signal Automotive, Goodyear Tire, General Motors, GMC Truck, Cadillac, PPG, and Ford Motor Company. Today, we are proud to inform you of our newest sponsor, Valvoline. The Valvoline Oil Company has stepped forward to take a more active role in our event, becoming title sponsor of the Detroit Grand Prix for the next 3 years through 1991. Now, they are a leader in the motor oil industry, committed to high-quality, performance-oriented products. The Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix will be the leader in the 1989 CART PPG IndyCar World Series with its $1 million purse. We are pleased to be associated with a company whose reputation is firmly grounded as an industry leader. I have no doubt that with our new relationship, the 1989 Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix will be a major success for our city, for Valvoline, and for all of our supporters. I thank you very much. It is now my pleasure to reveal to you the insignia which we will use in the race. We're very proud of that. Thank you, Robert.
You like that. You like that. That's your car, right? Obviously, we're very pleased to have Valvoline come to Detroit and help us make this event the success that it's going to be. We know that the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix will be a spectacular success. And with that, I would like to introduce the representative from Valvoline, Mr. Carl Fry, who is Senior Vice President for Marketing. Carl?
Thank you, Bob. What a special occasion this is. Valvoline has waited more than 25 years to become involved as a title sponsor of an IndyCar event. It's not that the thought had never crossed our minds, but never has an event struck us with the same magnitude of opportunity that we saw presented by Mr. McCabe at the CART meetings in Tucson earlier this year. Detroit has it all: $1 million purse, a fabulous base of support in the community, an aggressive, knowledgeable promoter in the Detroit Renaissance Group, a national television package with CBS, and it hasn't escaped Valvoline's attention that Detroit is the car capital of the world. As a motor oil company, Valvoline is a quality manufacturer of high-performance products. Quality is a way of life at Valvoline, in our products, in our people, and in our associations. And our high-performance image in the marketplace makes our association with motorsports a natural fit in our marketing mix. Valvoline has a big stake in Detroit. We have a strong share of the consumer motor oil market here. We have 20 Valvoline instant oil change centers in southeastern Michigan. We sell our Igloo automotive refrigerants, our Max and Pyro brands of automotive chemicals here. We sell our technical rust preventatives and industrial products to the automakers and other industries. Yes, Valvoline loves Detroit and the Detroit marketplace. And the sponsorship of the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix is just one way that we can prove it. As a marketing tool, and from what we heard at the CART winter meetings, we knew that the 1989 Detroit Grand Prix was bound to be very, very special. And at the same time, we initiated talks with the Detroit Renaissance Group. We also initiated talks with CBS, and we're happy to announce here today that Valvoline is also going to be a major sponsor of the CBS race telecast, as well as the event itself. We want the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix to be the premier event in CART. We want it to help the city of Detroit, and we want to show why we believe the competition among the CART PPG Indy cars will make this event the best it's ever been. Deputy Mayor Martin, for you in the city of Detroit, Mr. McCabe, Mr. Fisher of Detroit Renaissance, Mr. Caponegro of CART, we want you to know how proud Valvoline is to sponsor this crown jewel motorsports event. Thank you very much.
Carl, you clearly demonstrate why we're so excited to have you and Valvoline as part of our event. And with that, I would like to introduce the brand new president of CART, Mr. John Caponegro.
Thank you, Bob. Speaking on behalf of CART and our many members, I just would like to congratulate the Detroit Renaissance Group and Valvoline for putting together a partnership that is going to be a great one for not only the sport of IndyCar racing, but for the city of Detroit. We are obviously very pleased that one of our old friends in Valvoline has got together with our new friends at the Detroit Renaissance to put together this sponsorship, which will be nothing but tremendous for everyone. The Valvoline, of course, has been with CART since its inception in 1979 as a sponsor on cars with our fuel and very many other programs that we have. So it's a company that is a player, a proven winner, and one that's going to be very good for Detroit. Many of you are aware that CART is headquartered in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, and we look at this race as our home race as well. What that means is that our commitment internally as a league and our interest in this thing is unsurpassed by any other race on our circuit. We've been working hard since the announcement in November with the Detroit Renaissance Group. Our announcement was met with a great deal of excitement from our drivers and our owners. Everybody wants to come here in the worst way, and I think you'll see that. I understand from what I'm told that wasn't always the case with the other group that was here, but it is with ours. Our $1 million purse was announced. It's our first $1 million purse, and we're proud to have it here in Detroit. We have, as Carl mentioned, finished our deal with CBS Sports, which is a very interesting and exciting arrangement with a lot of very beneficial twists to it. One of which is that we will be airing 2.5 hours from 1 o'clock to 3:30, right immediately preceding. This is on June 18th live, immediately preceding the NBA 6th game. So our audience and our clearance will be even magnified more, which is good for Detroit and is good for our sport. And now with the Valvoline announcement, it just brings that closes another piece of the puzzle, which will make this race the crown jewel on our circuit this year. In the weeks to come, I'm sure you'll hear more from Bob and the Detroit Renaissance Group. Our season starts in 2.5 weeks in Phoenix. Right now, the money rides, I understand, with Al Unser Jr. in Phoenix. Tune in to see us on ABC Television Live on April 9th from 4 to 6 o'clock p.m. and get familiar with us, because I think you're going to like what you see. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you, John. Now joining us is Al Unser Jr. Al is nothing less than spectacular as a driver as he wheels his Gallus team Valvoline car around circuits all over the United States. We know he's going to be very competitive here in Detroit. He's already, of course, last year he was second in points in the Kart Series, and he's already planning to be #1 this year. With that, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Al Unser Jr. Welcome to Detroit.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Martin. My association with Detroit has been with Domino's Pizza. In the last few years, I drove for Team Shearson out of Adrian, Michigan, that was sponsored by Domino's Pizza in '85, '86, and '87. And then we were here a year ago with the Valvoline announcement of my Indy car, and we came to Detroit to make that announcement because both Rick Gallus, my car owner, and Valvoline feel that Detroit is the car capital of the world, and there's no better place to make a team announcement as was last year than Detroit. I can tell you that speaking for all the drivers on the PPG IndyCar World Series, that the $1 million prize money is okay. And then there's one other thing that I think the fans of Detroit area is going to get something unique that is nowhere else in the world, and that is that they're going to be able to see our Indy cars at the MIS Speedway, Michigan International Speedway, go over 200 miles an hour, what we run there for the Marlboro 500, and then to come in June and see our cars, the same exact cars that go over 200, come down and race the streets of Detroit, which our top speeds will probably reach in the area of 180 miles an hour, with slowing down speeds down to about 60 to 70 miles an hour. And so there's going to be a unique change in the car's appearances from our little wings that we run at MIS to our high downforce wings that we run on the city streets. And I can tell you, I hope you see that car in Victor Circle come June. With that, thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you very much, Al. Fred, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay. Well, on behalf of the mayor, I just want to say that Jim had to leave, but to John, Chick, and Carl, and Al Unser Jr., with the enthusiasm and the comments made focusing on our city, you all have done the Motor City proud. And we know that come that weekend in June, we probably are going to experience one of the most exciting weekends in the 8 years that we will have been participating in this grand event. At this point, if there are any questions, and by the way, I think most of you weren't here yesterday, but if you are, no questions about casino gambling today. Okay? Really enough for that. Jim?
Al, have you
Yeah, you're here, so they can.
Question briefly. Well, $1 million attracts all of you. Not all of you are equal. Some of you are good road racers, some are not. One, does that give some of you an unfair advantage, and does it introduce safety factors?
Well, I don't think it'll introduce a safety factor at all. I think all the drivers on the PPG IndyCar World Series are very professional and
Not all of you are road racers.
all that. I think most of us are. I think that some are better than others, but all of us know how to drive the Indy cars at their full potential, and some are better than others. Same way with the road, with the oval races. Some are better than others, but everybody, in my opinion, in the Indy cars today, have every right to be there and are respected for their talent. Likewise.
You agree, though, that some of you have a little edge?
Well, I hope I do. You know, but that's for every race. I hope that's what we strive for is the edge of everywhere we go. We hope to find the edge at Indianapolis in May. Same way in 2 weeks at Phoenix on the 1 mile oval there, and then also in June for the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix.
Have you had a chance to look over the Detroit course? What are your thoughts?
I haven't really had a chance to look over it yet. I've watched the F1 cars here on TV. I've never been here for the race itself, but the course looks very challenging. It's very unique in the aspect of that it has a tunnel in it, which we don't have anywhere else, and I've heard. I was on a radio show this morning, and one of my questions was how bumpy it was. The lady asked about a manhole cover. I guess was a big topic. I think our cars will. They are like the F1 cars, yes, but we do run on very bumpy circuits elsewhere. We don't like bumpy circuits and rough circuits, but we don't know how the course is going to be until we actually drive on it. So it would be very unfair for me to criticize in any way about the circuit as of today. And
Have you raced many courses like the Detroit course?
The Long Beach course is very similar. It's a city street. Up in Toronto, Canada, is what I call a setup racetrack, and as like Detroit will be very much the same.
How will the magnitude and the importance of racing Indy cars in Detroit compared to the actual Indy 500 in Indianapolis? Is it comparable?
Sure. Hopefully it'll be a direct comparison. Hopefully we'll be able to bring as many people into the Detroit area as the Indy 500 brings into their racetrack. And from what I've heard in the past, that the people in Detroit loves the Detroit Grand Prix in the city streets, and they flock to see it. And it shouldn't change. As a matter of fact, it should flourish because of the fact that you have people that you pretty much know. You know Mario Andretti, and you know Rick Mears and Bobby Rahal and my family's name. And so hopefully this'll attract some people that didn't really know the drivers, and all the drivers, and I can say this for all the drivers, they're very approachable. You know, all of us realize that without the fans coming to see the races, we wouldn't have a job, and so we thank them very much.
Bob, speaking of the track, are there going to be any changes, any paving done this year?
Yes, there will be paving done at the areas that broke up last year, and they will be done in concrete this year, which will certainly make it possible that we will not have the kind of problems that we had at the right-hand turns before. Also, the chicane has been removed from the straightaway on the river, which will make it faster. But those are the only changes, basically. Improvements, but no change in the course.
You know, Bobby, Al mentioned his family. I already called his uncle's name, and I'm sure most of you know that Al Unser Sr. won 4 Indy races, and your Uncle Bobby won 3.
3 of them.
So after Detroit, you can win in May and then come on down and do what you're going to do
That'd be
in Grand
great.
Prix, and then you're off on your start, okay?
That'd
Any
be
other
great.
questions? Thank you very much.
What is the level of commitment that Valvoline is, the financial level of commitment that Valvoline is?
Carl?
I'd like to answer it this way. Our level of commitment is significant. As far as the exact dollar amount, I don't think that's something that we want to announce or the Detroit Renaissance Group does. I can tell you that our feeling about it is that the commitment is priceless.
How priceless is priceless?
Yeah, Carl, obviously you're going to have another career in the diplomatic corps when you finish with Valvoline.
On that, McCabe, on that, does this mean will there be lesser involvement by companies like Allied?
No.
No?
No. What it's meant is it's another involvement. The other companies that we announced before who have been back with us other years are still going to be with us. And we've, as I announced the last time, we've had more involvement this year than ever before.
Thank you very much. That's a 10.
That's a 10. Great.
Call it Inspiration Time, where we set aside a few moments each and every day about this time to help us sell ourselves on. And we know that God is good. God is good to you, and God is good to me right now. And we thank Him for His goodness. Speaking of selling ourselves on ourselves, you know, Detroit is a city where so many times the press will try to sell us off of ourselves. And today we are privileged and honored to have in our studio a man who wouldn't accept my hand in marriage. The Honorable Coleman Alexander Young. God bless you, I love you.
God bless you, Martha Jean. I love you too.
Now see, let me tell you, look.
Bless you, I love you, Martha Jean the Queen.
See?
Yeah.
See, I got you. You tell me that all day long. See, you didn't know we had you on tape, did you? You're real sharp today.
Thank you, Queen.
Looking real nice and handsome as ever. Now, we're not going to get into that because we always get in trouble. And I've accepted your apology for turning my hand down. You're making me feel good. But I can say one thing. He is not cheap anymore. Coleman Alexander Young is not cheap anymore. You know, I say he was cheap, but he's not cheap anymore. Take my word for it. You know, we have been working in the city of Detroit for a long time. You have been leading, guiding, directing all of us in this city. This is a city we love. Sometimes I've noticed when you go to a press conference, you can't really tell the people what you have on your mind and on your heart because you love Detroit. Now, you're talking about a woman. If there is a woman that you love, that's Detroit. That's your woman, you know. And we wanted, and we're so privileged to have you with us today. We'd like to thank you for coming aboard on Inspiration Time with the Queen on QBH to let the people in the community know exactly what you are planning, what you have worked on, what we can look for with this situation of crime in our city and with our young people. So we just want you to wing it, Mayor Young.
All right.
All right?
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Martha Jean, the Queen. And I'm very happy to join you and your many listeners today to discuss the city of Detroit. We all love the city of Detroit. That fact is demonstrated by the fact that the city is still here, still growing, still vibrant, in spite of the slings and arrows, the misrepresentations. The people of this city have made a determination to carry on, and we're doing that. There's no doubt that crime is one of the major problems facing our city. Now, we are not alone in that. We're not the only city. You would think that sometimes from the media reports. Every other major city in this nation, whether it be New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, or Washington, D.C., has the same problem. We are attempting to deal with our problem, and in the end, each one of us must deal with our problem ourselves. We're correct when we demand more prison space from the county, when we demand more juvenile detention and rehabilitation space from the county and from the state, and when we demand more prisons from the state. But in the end, if we're to deal with our problem of crime, we must deal with it ourselves. If you remember, about 4 years ago, we had this same problem. We had it a long time, and we've always known that one of our major stumbling blocks, one of the major things standing in the way of our ability to come to grips with the crime situation, is the fact that we don't have enough prison space. We don't have enough detention space. We don't have enough rehabilitation, re-educational space, particularly for youngsters. Why do I talk about young people? We had a summit meeting, as Martha Jean indicated, last week, in which we talked about the city of Detroit, in cooperation with the Board of Education, are coming up with anywhere between $2 million apiece, that's $4 million, to $5 million apiece, that's $10 million, to build 2 facilities. One, for young people who are being expelled daily from our schools.
And don't have any place to go.
They have nowhere to go. They're turned into the street, and they become another problem of crime.
The mother's afraid of them, everybody's afraid of them.
We have a responsibility, in my opinion, all of us, to those young people. They deserve a chance, and we cannot afford to give up on them. I, for one, refuse to say that we have a lost generation on our hands. Well, if they're lost, it's up to us to find them. And so we want 1,000 of these youngsters to be put in some kind of detention facility, preferably out of the city of Detroit, where they can be trained to do something productive, where they can learn the meaning of discipline, get up in the morning, clean themselves up, understand the meaning of courtesy, how to take orders, say yes sir, no sir. That won't hurt them.
Yeah, right.
Give them some military training. I'd suggested a place up on the Upper Peninsula.
I think that's wonderful.
Where you could chill out some of these hot bloods, and I guarantee you, in the wintertime, they'll be chilled out. And another 1,000 young people, and these could be people out of school, the people in their early 20s, for instance. The fact that the Board of Education and Larry Patrick, who's the new chairman of the Board of Education, is willing to join with me in recommending that the school board and the city jointly come up with money was a very significant thing, because neither the school board nor the city is in the prison business.
All right. Who's in the prison business?
That's the responsibility of the county and the state. But just because the county and the state won't do it.
They won't do it?
They haven't done it. You know that there are not enough prisons. As I was saying earlier, Martha Jean, 4 years ago, we agreed in Detroit to build a prison. In fact, it's a double prison out in the northeast section of our city. Mainly because I felt, and we felt, that if we're going to demand the state and the county to do something, we had to show our willingness to do something. And we have allowed the state to build that prison. It's interesting to note that after 4 years, the prison's still not finished. They're dragging their feet. They're going much too slowly. So we propose to do something to start it off. That does not mean that we do not expect the county to play its part, and we do not expect the state to play its part. But I think we can go to the county and go to the state with a little more urgency and a little more credibility when we've demonstrated our ability to save our own. I've talked to many ministers, as you know. You attended a meeting that I had with leading ministers in the city, and I'm talking to the ministers about having each church perhaps adopt a school or adopt an area in which that church is located and extend a hand to these young people. We have many people who go to church every Sunday who participate in church activities all during the week. Well, we are, in a very real sense, our brother's keeper and our children's keepers, and it's up to us to save these youngsters. So for those who say that nothing new came out of the summit, I think the willingness of the Board of Education and the City of Detroit to step up to this problem and to begin to deal with not just incarceration, not just warehousing young people, but rehabilitation. In both instances, we want to teach these young people discipline, self-respect, cleanliness. If they don't have a high school degree, work on a high school degree, and in any case, teach them how to do something. Rehabilitation. I remember...
like a work camp.
Well, it's something like the old CCCs used to be. Now, some of you may remember, most of you probably don't. CCC stood for Civilian Conservation Corps, and they existed back in the 30s, in the last Great Depression. And many, many youngsters, young men from Detroit went into CCC's camp way up in northern Michigan, where they planted trees. They were subjected to Army-like discipline. Didn't hurt any of them. There are a few of them around today. They all they left as young punks and came back as men. And we need to give our kids a chance. In addition to that, we need to continue our crackdown on crack. There are two major problems that we have, as I see it, coming under the heading of crime. One is the dissemination of drugs, at this juncture, mainly crack. And the other is the proliferation of illegal guns. Now, I'm talking about illegal guns. There are some who say we need new laws. I don't think we need new gun laws. We need the ability and the determination to enforce the laws we already have. It's illegal to be on the street with an assault rifle, as many of these youngsters are. It's illegal to have a machine gun, an Uzi, on the street. It's illegal for those underage to have a gun under any circumstances. Guns must be registered, and if you're going to carry a gun, you need a permit to carry a gun. So what we need and what we propose to initiate is a cooperation with the schools and with the parents, with the churches. Take the schools, for instance. The kids in schools know who has the guns in those schools. They know where those guns are, who's carrying them, and where they're hidden. We need their cooperation. They need to understand that it's not thinking out, it's not a violation of any code to turn in somebody who's peddling dope, which means they're peddling poison, or to turn in anybody who's carrying a gun illegally. They could kill themselves, they could kill innocent bystanders, as they have in the past.
Will there be certainty of punishment for these youngsters?
That is where the prisons come in. That is why we need to provide more prison space. It becomes a hollow message to talk about certainty of punishment, as some members of the law enforcement cycle do, when they know damn well there are not enough prisons to put these kids away. That becomes hypocritical. And I refuse to become hypocritical. I'm not going to try and pull the wool over the eyes of the people. The people are too smart. They see through that. If you're going to talk about certainty of punishment, you certainly going to have to provide some kind of prison space, some kind of detention space, some kind of rehabilitation space to take these youngsters and, yes, these oldsters off the street. Now, we need to talk about rehabilitation for any criminal. But I am concerned with the young people, the teenagers, and those in their early 20s who, by the way, commit 60-70% of the street crimes in this city. Those who are older than that, we need to help them if we can, and warehouse them if we must. But take them off the street is certainly what we must do for all criminals, and that's what you mean by certainty of punishment. The summit was called to bring together some distinct groups, all of which had met with me, all of whom had met with me prior to the summit. There was the ministers' meeting that I talked about. There was a meeting of community groups in which some 150 people from the community met with me. We talked about the same people who so effectively cooperated with the city in keeping down fires on Devil's Night and bringing Devil's Night under control. They demonstrated to the whole city and to the nation that there's no problem so severe that it cannot be handled by people coming together determined to deal with the problem. There's no force that can withstand the united will of the community. It is your will, it is your resolution that's responsible for the fact that this city is rebuilding itself today, in spite of many critics who would ignore that fact. Have you been downtown lately? A lot going on. There's some say that I'm devoting all my energy to downtown and not enough to the neighborhood. Well, I've been around this city almost 70 years. I never knew there was a distinction between downtown and the neighborhood. I lived so close to downtown as a boy over at Black Bottom, about St. Albert and Shade, along there. I could walk downtown and did very, very often. Many of you did too. You show me a dead downtown, and I will show you a dead city. Downtown is where I'm broadcasting right now. There are jobs downtown. Right here in this television station, there are jobs. At every building I look at around me in this downtown area, there are jobs. They pass out paychecks downtown that you can take back to the community and keep the community rolling. If we rebuilt the community, put every quarter we had into rehabilitating and repairing the homes in the community, and didn't provide any paychecks for anybody, the community wouldn't be the community very long. You got to eat, you got to pay the rent, you got to pay for gas, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is an artificial division. I am proud of what we have done downtown. They said the people mover wouldn't work. Well, now they're complaining that we need to add some more cars because everybody can't ride. When I first became mayor, and I'm sure many of you remember that, the newspapers, the same ones now that are trumpeting that the city is through, were complaining because after 5 o'clock, they said, you could shoot a cannon down Woodward Avenue or Jefferson and not hit anyone because everybody was gone. The implication being that folks who work in these offices downtown had gone back to the suburbs. Well, now they're complaining, if you've been down here lately, that there's not enough parking space. The crowds are so thick you could hardly get along down here. You've been to Cobo Hall lately? They're criticizing that. That's your Cobo Hall. We've increased the size of Cobo Hall, where it's the largest convention space on one floor to be found anywhere in the nation. We are attracting the largest conventions. That's more jobs.
at Cobo Hall, at the restaurants, at the hotels, etc. Downtown is thriving, and as it thrives, the community